Good evening, people. Hope yous are all doing safe. Hope you're doing well, whether you're driving home for Christmas, driving back from work, or like me, just moving from one PC to the next. I am very appreciative of you joining us this evening. Alongside me, as always, we have FPL Buna. How are you this evening, mate?
Namaste. Namaste.
What does that mean? Does that mean you're doing all right?
No, it means hello in Hindi.
All right, okay. Well, hello. See, every day's a school day in this place. You learn everything every week. But you're doing good?
I'm good, mate.
Nice one. We've got a good few people in the chat already. Jason's there. Hello, Jason. Good evening to you. FPL Wolf's in the chat. Eric is there. Paulie's here. We've got a whole gang already waiting. It's really much appreciated. However, this evening, as always on a Thursday, we have a very special guest joining us and taking us through the show this evening. We have got, making his Llama Lounge debut, we have actually one of the first creators that I actually started watching when I got into FPL a few seasons ago. On Twitter, he's now known as the FPL Big Daddy with just nearly 3,000 followers. He's an FPL content creator with just under 17,000 subs on his YouTube channel, which is called FPL Today, if you don't already know that, which is odd because you should. He not only creates on his own though, he's part of a group called the FPL Wildcats, where he sits in chairs and hosts shows on a weekly basis alongside Freya, Kurt and Brett. I actually know that this guy works as well full time, so where he gets the time to cram all this stuff in, I have no idea, but we shall find out. Are things going to get wild this evening in the lounge? Is he going to be the daddy and deal out a proper spanking? We don't know, but we're going to look forward to getting to know the man that's in the know. It's JNO. Hello.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the Llama Lounge.
How you doing this evening?
Thank you for that intro.
That's
yeah,
all
I'm
right.
doing good.
I work
I'm
hard.
doing good. I mean, you missed a few things, but, you know, still good intro. I mean, I have a gaming channel. I have a Twitch. My daughter now has a channel. So, you know,
Your daughter's got a channel as well?
Yeah, my daughter has a channel as well. She's actually beating me on views compared to my gaming channel.
Is it FPL tomorrow?
No, it's FPL yesterday.
FPL yesterday. So the first part for all new people joining us, which is obviously greatly appreciated for everyone new that's joining us. The first part of the show, we'll get to know Jay more personally, what he gets up to besides FPL. There's a few questions, I think, Buna, that you've had fluttering your way from what is known as the Twitter sphere. We'll then have a little look at how we got on, in the previous game week, and then also what is happening as we look forward into the next game week after the international break. Also, you guys and girls are here joining us in the chat, so do get involved, whether it's a question to us or to Jay. Please feel free to pop them in the chat, and Buna and Jay and I will have a look and hopefully try and sort your heads out if that's what's required. First of all, though, I just wanted to say a few little thank yous, because previously we went from, well, we basically got a few more subs, which was greatly appreciated. So I just want to say thanks to the following people who between streams decided that they wanted to sub to the channel. So just to say thank you very much to Danny Hart, who was in our last stream, I believe, and now joined the Discord. Much appreciated, Danny. We've got Care Metch there as well, Jeff Leach, Adam, SJD, John Hayes, Hunter and Fubar. Much appreciated. Thank you very much for subscribing to us. Jay.
Yes.
It's all about you now, though. So, Jay,
oh, God.
As I say, you were one of the first content creators that I actually started watching and listening to back in the day, a few seasons ago. That was you were one of the first people that I watched, and then realised that there was actually this whole thing called FPL, and now look where I am. I've landed down that rabbit hole. I know that you do a lot of hard work behind the scenes, including obviously the creation of your own channel, but let the chat know a bit more about you. Who is JNO?
Okay, so I'm a dad, of course, 2 kids. That's probably the most important thing I do. But also I work full-time as /security guard /loss prevention, investigations into why companies are losing money, so on and so forth. So, bit of a mixed job. Can be very interesting sometimes, can be very boring. Started on YouTube by actually wanting to game, and it just kind of, I did one FPL video, it did really well, and then kind
Excellent.
of moved towards that. But yeah, other than that, there isn't actually that much to me because I don't have that much free time. I'm not going to lie, all the stuff I do with YouTube and then being a parent and working.
Yeah.
I used to play a lot of sports when I was younger.
Okay.
That kind of fell off. I did play for Wimbledon Nationals. Wimbledon's my local club, and I played for their team until I was 15. Played a lot of rugby as well. So yeah, I was quite into sports, but then I found alcohol and nice food.
Damn you, alcohol!
kind of lost the fitness a bit. But yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Do like a drink, as my stream well knows, my channel well knows,
Yes.
and the Wildcats know. But other than that, there isn't that much to me.
I'm pretty sure when I first tuned into yourself, there was a lot of that went on, and then you slowly went into the Robinsons on stream. You kind of moved away from the lagers and stuff like that, or the ales, and then into like the Robinson diluting juice.
That was every now and again. It was near the end of the month, and I didn't have any money for alcohol. I drunk it all.
So no,
but no, I don't stream as much anymore, just because I thought when my second daughter got a bit older that it would be easier to stream. It's actually not. They're really loud. They're loud children, and by the time I've got them to sleep, it's like 10 o'clock. Is it time to start a stream at 10? So, yeah, the little one doesn't like to go sleep. You literally have to fight her, hold her tightly and tell her it's bedtime.
And she'll let you know about it.
Yes, she lets me know about it. Definitely.
No, good stuff. So, sport-wise, obviously right into your football, and I take it you still do keep a keen eye on like the other sports, like the rugby and that you used to play before.
So I watch mainly international rugby now.
Oh, okay.
Just because time-wise, there's only so much time I have in a day. I do like mixed martial arts as well, UFC.
Yep.
A bit of a wrestling fan as well still. Don't watch it like I used to, but I keep up to date with it and then probably get involved around Royal Rumble time to WrestleMania. But
That's so 90s. Like, when I cast my memory back, I remember, like, my kind of thought process there is, like, WrestleManias, like, your Hulk Hogan and stuff like that. I take it you must have had a right good chat with Steve-O about stuff like this, though, because he's proper into his wrestling.
we haven't actually,
Oh, have you not?
surprisingly. No.
Oh, you need to get the beers out. And just...
I have spoke about it with Dre, though.
Oh,
Me and Dre have spoken about wrestling.
Yep, Dre's another one. On the Wildcats, I'm interested to know, how did that actually all come about? Because as I say, when I joined, it was already formed. But how did that actually originate?
So it's mainly Nim's brainchild.
Okay.
And she needed a tech guy. And I wasn't even her first choice, which I was a bit disappointed with. Surely I should have been the go-to. But yeah, she came to me with the idea. I knew Kurt from when I begun on YouTube. So I was like, yeah, we could get Kurt involved. He's a bit of a different character, add something that isn't your typical FPL content creator. And we both knew Brett. We asked Brett to join us as well, FPL TV. And yeah, it started from there. A few bumps along the road, but we got there.
I think that's it. Like what we were just talking about before. I know you've helped me out certainly when I've had a couple of tech issues, and Jason's more than helped when he's dived in and kind of helped out, because OBS for me at my age is just like a kind of boomer type thing, and I'm just like, as I said to you, knifing and forking my way through it. Yeah, it's this whole technology thing's beyond me, like, definitely. Bruno, what else has been coming in from the Twitter sphere?
We've had a few questions. We've had a FPL Maestro asking what JNO, aka FPL Big Daddy, enjoy most about playing FPL.
Well, it's one of those games, isn't it, where you've got the highs and the lows. It's a bit like a drama, really. Like, you never know exactly what's going to happen when the weekend starts, and then you can have the best weekend ever, or it can be an absolute dire weekend where you're questioning why you play the game. And it's those kind of highs and lows. I mean, I have, over the last 5 years, had a pretty decent record. Last year probably was my worst one. But I just love that feeling of like a really good game week. It's mainly the way it makes you feel over the weekend. All the stuff in between is just a lot of work, to be fair, isn't it? But I suppose you have to do that if you want to do well at the game.
No,
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. I mean, see, so I suppose that leads on to a different, like another kind of question, Boona, doesn't it? About like what kind of FPL type of manager are you? I mean, I know, obviously, watching your videos and stuff like that. Like, are you kind of like maverick in the same way that Boona and I tend to be, or are you more stat orientated? I mean, what would you kind of say are your kind of key hints and tips, if you like, for people that are listening back on playback or in the studio with us the now? Like, where's your kind of hints and tips? Is it a mix match of everything, or I mean, how would you best describe yourself as an FPL manager?
You've only asked about 17 questions there, Llama.
Yeah.
I would try and answer all of them in one. So I think the first thing I'd say to anyone is you have to play it your way. There's no perfect way to play it. You have all sorts of different managers. There's some really good managers out there that play a lot riskier game than I do. There's some managers that play a lot safer a game than I do. There's ones with better records, and they play completely different to me. So I don't think anyone ever has the right to come on and say, okay, you have to play like me, because that's nonsense. But I used to be very hit adverse. Didn't like to touch hits at all.
Right.
But now it's all about whether the move makes sense. If you think in the long term that player is going to significantly outscore the player you're transferring out, then a -4 isn't that big an issue. Of course, if that everyone kind of looks at the next game week, and then when the transfer doesn't work straight away, they're like, "Oh, I've made a mistake." Well, have you? Like you've made that transfer for surely more than one game week. But yeah, I do look at the stats. I definitely look at the stats. I kind of look at the stats to more back up now what I've watched from, say, highlights. I don't get the time to watch as many games as I'd like to, so usually it's match of the day highlights.
Yeah.
But I'll watch that. I'll make a few notes. Okay, I like the look of this player. He's getting in the right positions. I like the look of this player. He's shooting from sensible places. Then I'll look at the stats to see if it actually backs up.
Yes.
But the stats can always lead you astray. Like Patrick Bamford, I spent all the preseason saying Patrick Bamford would not be able to do it in the Premier League. And look at him.
Yeah.
Look at him.
JNO, I can confirm that stats did lead me astray on my pick of Neil Maupay a few weeks ago.
See, I don't like the guy, so that helped me not go there. But he
I didn't have an allegiance, but now I've got a very negative allegiance.
So you ain't touching him with a barge pole now then, Boona?
Well, like that name in the chat at the moment, for me, he's very infamous. Talking of infamous FPL saying he loves your content, JNO. Thank you for the work you do.
Yep, cheers, infamous. Yeah, I mean, I've said this before to Boona. You know, when I've been looking, I looked at stats. Was it last season? Maybe 2 seasons ago. Can't remember. But it totally pickled my head, if I've been honest. So I've ended up kind of going more to like just eye tests. Just use the eye test. And
what I'd say is don't look at too many stats, because then you do just pickle your brain.
Yeah.
I over time have picked the stats I kind of like to look at, and those are the ones I go off of.
Yes.
And I don't really look at it. Anything else is just going to confuse you.
Yeah.
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head, to be honest. Use stats to back up the eye test. You do need the eye test. You need to watch what's happening. However, with the games being spread out as much as they are right now, JNO, we are consuming so much football, we aren't going to remember how many chances X, Y, and Z have created. But we can go back and check that out, and then we'll remember what they've played like. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah,
exactly.
I'm with you on that. Absolutely.
No, excellent. No, thank you very much for that. It's good to get other people's kind of insights on how they do it. That's what I was kind of wondering, because we asked FPL General this as well, and he had kind of said that he did feel a bit of pressure, you know, when he's creating like his, you know, 59th minute podcast or, you know, any kind of videos and stuff, that he actually let the pressure get to him a little bit a couple of seasons back. And he ended up having to take a break. Has it ever affected you in that way? In the same way that it did with General?
I suppose it hasn't, but I mean, it might affect some of the moves I make in the game. Because the thing is, I will always say this, it's so much easier to play FPL without making content. Because one, you don't get, say, the judgment that comes along with the moves that you make. But 2, it also takes away from time that you could actually just be focusing on FPL. So the graphics, all the work you do on, say, OBS, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's time you could have spent on the hobby of FPL instead.
Yes.
But for me, I always started off as I wasn't some sort of guru. I wasn't some sort of FPL genius. Yes, my record's been good. But I've always said, look, make your own moves. These are the players I'm looking at, but I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong. And I think the job I have has made me have quite a thick skin, because I've had a lot worse than people questioning my FPL decisions, especially on some streams. I've had absolute diabolical comments thrown my way. So, like, I never really feel the pressure, but I think it's because I've always approached this from a perspective of I shouldn't have to. It's just me making content on the internet. If people like it, they like it. If they don't like it, they are perfectly free to tell me.
I think that's it. Yeah, you're totally right, mate. And as you say, Bruno, you are spot on with that. I mean, that's exactly the same way Elite have went about it. It's the same way we've went about it. We're not here to, you must do this, you must do that, you must do the next thing. No, what you should be doing is just going with what your gut says, and as G Wiz says, just play your own game. You know, everyone else is here to kind of help you, support you, offer you little bits of advice here and there. But ultimately, it's you that presses the button, none of us. As long as you're comfortable with, like, the decision that you're making for however you got to that decision, then go for it.
Have you ever had a tweet where someone goes, "Oh, I copied your team and it's not worked," or
"Oh yeah,
why did you release your team so late? How could I copy it if you only released it 2 minutes before the deadline?"
Like that, Jay?
I'm like, what? Go on, tell me.
I tell those people to fuck off. That's what you're doing. Like, stick it where the sun don't shine. On that note, going all the way back to Twitter, we've got a live question from FPL Buzz, who is in the live chat at the moment as well. I know you mentioned that you're not really you're sort of hit adverse, if you like, averse. Sorry, but he's asked, when and why would you take hits if you were to? What sort of situation?
Well, the thing is, last year I actually took a lot more hits. It was also my worst year. So I don't know if that's just coincidence or not. But for me, it's all about, do I think my team needs to change? So when it's, say, a blank game week or a double game week, it's a lot easier because you can look at the transfer in the case of, okay, this player isn't playing. So whoever I bring in, as long as they play, is going to make up some of that -4. Or for the doubles, you're like, okay, this player's playing twice, so has better chance of scoring higher than the player I'm transferring out. So those ones are easier.
Okay.
But long term, it's about, do I think the team drastically needs that change? And I think a lot of times we overmanage. We look at our side, and just because it's had one bad game week, we look at it and go, this side isn't good enough.
I'm laughing here in the background, but I totally, I am that person, and I'm not going to lie about it. I'm so knee-jerky at times, I'm trying to kind of stop myself from doing it this season. But you're so right with what you're saying. Like,
some of my best game weeks have been when I've just sat there and gone, you know what? I'm not going to make a move. Yes. This team doesn't look that bad. It might not be the perfect team that I want, but it hasn't looked bad. And then, like Timo Werner, the amount of times I could have transferred that man out in the first 4 game weeks. And now he's looking not half bad. I still don't think he's the best choice in that price bracket right now.
Yep.
But he's
How
now
long
starting
do you
to do
leave
the
it though, Jay? How long do you leave it before you lose patience? And I'll tell you why. The reason I ask you that is I lost patience with Shea Adams 1 week too early.
Ooh.
So I benched him for Chelsea. I benched him for Chelsea when he got that 11-pointer. I was fuming, mate. I was fuming. So instead of playing him the next week, I was like, get the hell out of my team. I got rid of him, and he seems to have become prime CR7 since then.
Well, look, there's no answer to that because I'm also the guy that has kept some players for way too long. I think there was a season where Kane, we always had that August curse where he's like, oh, we can't score in August. But there was a season where like I kept him until like November and he just was not doing anything. And I'm like, he will come good. It's Kane. It's Harry Kane. I think it was after a season. Yeah. I've still got Trent.
Have you?
Yeah. So, but for me, it's about fixing the areas of your team that you think really need addressing. So for me, Timo Werner always looked promising in those games, even though he wasn't returning.
Yeah.
Like he seemed to be one of the few players that could actually potentially make something happen. And there just was other areas of my team that I thought needed more drastic attention than Timo Werner. Same with Trent, because every now and again Trent posts some numbers. He has had some games where he's had chances on goal, and if they'd gone in, I'd be thinking about him completely different.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's still the possibility he could have got a clean sheet. I know he hasn't got a clean sheet yet, but it's about, okay, this player definitely isn't going to do anything for me, whereas this player still looks promising. So I'll wait it out.
Yeah. I don't know why anyone would, but for those idiots out there that are taking -16s, what advice do you have for them, Jen?
Are you referring to yourself there?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Look, a good old -16 is fine if you need that many transfers to fix your team and you don't have your wild card. I wouldn't.
Bro, I had triple Brighton. Say no more. I
mean, yeah, that I would maybe have one Brighton player at most, and that would be Lamptey, and that'd be it right now. But yeah, I would never say it's definitely not something you should do without looking at a team. But yeah, it's just patience.
Yeah.
Just, did the player have an unlucky game? Like I brought in Jack Grealish, I think, game week, probably just after the Liverpool game, and he didn't do anything in the next 2 games. But when I watched him, he looked like he could have quite easily scored in both games and got points. So I was like, he's fine. Don't touch him. The points will come.
Yeah.
So
you make a very valid point, and that's kind of what's led me to get rid of, as part of my -16, Mopé and Trossard. Mopé's looks hopeless, and I'm a big advocate of the eye test, but he looks like he can't even control the ball anymore, let alone play football. Trossard...
Brighton are really confusing. Like, they look like they're playing really good football, but they don't convert their chances. They look really good defensively, but they always concede. Like, so yeah, because I was very tempted by Trossard after game week 2, I think, and I thought, okay, this is the Trossard that has looked promising before, and then it suddenly switched off. So give it more time, be more patient on bringing him in, because this is Brighton. This isn't Barcelona. It's wait and see what happens with him.
Yeah. Abdul in the chat's basically saying, so far this season, every hit I've done's been a bad decision. Don't worry about it, Abdul. You've still got plenty of game weeks to get everything turned around, don't you?
It's a marathon. It's a marathon.
Exactly.
It really is. There's another 30 game weeks to go. You make 5 points up a game week. I'm not saying you will. That's 150 points. That is probably the difference between you and top 100 right now in the game for most people.
I think last season at this point I was about 2.5 million ranked, and I ended up the season in the top 500k. Right now I'm in the top 500k.
Now, would you say your season's gone, generally speaking?
Not too bad. I'd say it was a very good start, because I think I got 86 points in the first game week. Then it kind of slowed down significantly. I made moves that I'd planned to make instead of re-evaluating those moves. So, for instance, I had Son game week 1. Spurs looked pretty bad against Everton, and I'd always planned to move Son on. He was a placeholder to bring in, say, a Man United or a Man City. So I brought in Bruno Fernandes, of course, and then Son had that great game week 2. So
Southampton.
I then got rid of Bruno Fernandes, and then, of course, he did really well in game week 3 or 4. So I was making these moves because this is the plan.
Flopper, you.
Yeah. So what happened is, about game week 4, I went, okay, no, let's stop this trying to guess where the points are going to come in. Because, of course, everyone went and got Kevin De Bruyne in as well, or Raheem Sterling for Man City after the Wolves game.
Yeah.
And again, Man City haven't been that great compared to what we expect from them. So I think it's definitely been on the rise since I've just gone, okay, stop with this preconceived notion of I can predict the future completely.
Yeah.
And evaluate each game week as it comes, and reevaluate again the game week after. And it's improved since then. And I think there's definitely, say, 6 game weeks in, there was starting to come some standout options that we had to bring in. But I will have to say, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I don't know how I lucked that, because I did not go anywhere near him all pre-season. And then I'm pretty sure the day before the deadline, I just was playing around with my team, and I needed a striker around that price. And I went, DCL will do. It wasn't like I picked him thinking, yep, he's going to do really well. And then the points have just been very, very consistent from him.
Yeah, no, it's done very well. Done very well at the start of this season. I was glad I had him from game week 1. Vincey Baby's in the chat. Hello, Vince. We have to look at our teams as if we're real managers, negotiating a real season and taking all the pitfalls that entails. Well, that's certainly a way of looking at it, Vince. Thanks very much for that. Coolio Foots Boona's telling you that that's a Mopai brace incoming now that you've got rid of him.
Coolio 2 Foot likes to have a wind up from now and then.
Okay.
You carry on, Coolio.
Penguin's in the chat. Hello, Penguin. Hope you're doing well. Karma Baby. -16 question mark. What a bunch of lunatics. High possibilities of players being injured or rested after the international break. And then there's players that might end up getting COVID. By the way, best of luck to Scotland tonight. Thanks for that, Karma.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it's crazy. Idiots, absolute idiots.
Lunatics, but best of luck later.
Yeah. So no, thank you very much for that. Is there any other questions that have come in via the Twitter sphere? Because we've got through quite a lot of questions already, though, which is really good. So early on in the season, and I can see some starting to float up in the chat as well. I think Bruna. Oh, by the way, sorry. What I didn't mention was the fact that Matt's not here. Don't want to be dismissive of the fact.
Is he not a fan?
Don't want to be dismissive of the fact that our own co-host decided that he wasn't coming tonight. But no, he got caught up in work, and it's a bit of a shame that he couldn't be with us because he was looking forward to chatting with you, Jay. But I said that we will be getting together probably at some point in the future. So you will speak to our Matt at some point soon. But Buna, I think we need to ask Jay if he would smash or pass, shall we?
Yes, it's a good question. I think Jay's been waiting for this.
He has.
Jay's been waiting for this. Drum roll, please.
Right, Jay, you need to close your eyes and put yourself in this situation, okay? So, it's the final seconds of a Champions League final. You're a striker.
I now know what's coming up.
You're a striker and you're through on goal, 1-on-1 with that goalkeeper. You're just about to put your lace through the ball when out the corner of your left eye, you see one of your attackers, your fellow strike mate, is standing there. Now you know that if you pass it to him, he's not missing because it's a blatant open goal. However, it's you that's got the ball at your feet. It's you that could grab all the headlines because it's a Champions League final and it's 0-0. What are you doing though? Are you smashing or are you passing?
Okay, I don't care who I might offend with this one. But if you don't pass, what are you thinking? Pass the ball. Win the final. Don't be selfish. It's not all about you. You're a team player. It's a game with 11 people. You've worked all season to get to this final. Guaranteed goal to win it. And you go, nope, I want to be the one that has my name in the headlights. No, you pass the ball.
Are you a striker or a midfielder?
To be fair, I have played a lot of positions in my time. But I was probably more of either a winger, right back, or at the end of my time, I was actually a pretty good goalkeeper. So I suppose maybe as I got older, I moved further back. So maybe that's affected how I see the game. But come on, if you miss and you don't win because of that miss, just pass the ball. Pass the ball. As a fan, when you see that and they don't pass the ball and then they don't score,
well, this is
especially if you own them in FPL. You're fuming.
And this is the thing, but this question, I'm glad we can... I can't remember who it was that actually thought that question up, but honestly, Jay, some of the reactions we've had to it have been great. FPL General was lacing it all day long. He was putting it straight into goal. Paulie...
Straight into Rose Ed.
Well, this is it, Boona. You don't know where it's going to go. It might go top corner, it might go top row.
Imagine I'm playing for AFC Wimbledon and they've got to an FA Cup final. We haven't won it since 1988, and I go and shoot and miss.
Yeah, exactly.
I just cost my boyhood team another FA Cup. Pass the ball.
This is it. Exactly.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm lacing that shit, mate. I am lacing it. I'm thinking about all those FPL managers that own me. I want to give them the 5 points, not the 3 points. You know what I'm saying?
FPL manager will take the 3 points. Especially this kind of season. I'll take the 3 points.
We've got a few legends in the chat. Boona, if you want to shout them through.
FPL Escapades in the chat. Paulie's joined us. Ian Anderson has joined us. We've got... Davey's not a legend. Forget him. We've got Vince in the chat. Who else has joined us? There was another name earlier. Dread joined us earlier. Laz joined us. Laz, we read your question out, although we didn't say your name. That question was from Laz FPL on Twitter. But yeah.
Thanks for that. Someone was asking earlier about how to join the Discord. You'll see it there on the right-hand side of your screen. If you're new, you'll see on the bottom right-hand side, that's when we're typically doing our live streams. Thursday live at 5, and then the FPL Sunday supplement's usually a Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. We then have watch-along streams, which, funnily enough, Davey, that is in the chat just now, and I will be doing a watch-along of the Serbia versus Scotland game this evening. The only reason we're doing it is because since France 98, this could be the first opportunity that us lot get to the European finals, which, funnily enough, I've actually got a ticket for that opening game at Hampden, which would make it even better. However, it is Scotland, and being Scottish, we all know how this evening's going to pan out. However, it's good to have Davey joining me with a few iron brews with vodka in it, and we'll just drown our sorrows regardless. So, anywho.
Best of luck. I hope you guys actually make it, because I wouldn't mind beating you in the Euros.
All right, okay. So you had to build it up to slash it down.
Yeah.
Right, Jay. Let's go and slide.
Mate, I've just read this news headline.
All right.
I didn't know you were putting that on there.
What?
About Dempsey has publicly spoke out after the recent engagement to FPL Buna. She states that she is the real manager behind his FPL team.
Yeah.
You want to wind up, son?
No, she messaged me last week. Right, Jay, it's ready. It's time for you to slate our teams. I have popped up my team. This was the team that rocked out the last game week there. I can try and give you a little bit of a heads up on what I did, or what I'm going to do, I should say, going into game week 9. But this is the team that I went out with. 70 points I ended up with a -4, so 66 I finished with. For those listening back on Anchor, which would be Spotify or whatever the heck it is that it goes out to, Martinez in goal with 6 points. We had Vestergaard, Buna's best pal there, with another 6 points. We had Trent, who's now bringing up the big old exclamation mark there, with 2. Chilwell, good choice, I think. 8 points in my back 3. 4 in midfield, Zaha with 5, Salah with 9, Son, my vice-captain, on 3, and Grealish there with 6. And then up front 3, Calvert-Lewin on 5, Wilson, who's now injury-bound, on 2, and Kane, captain, on 18. Jay, what are you saying about that team?
I mean, overall, it's a good team. You've got a lot of players that I have, so it's not like I can come in here and slate it completely. You actually got 70 points to my 69, but you took that -4. Yes. So you didn't get as many points as me. But, I mean, the one thing I'd question, and I question some of the Wildcats that made this move as well,
okay,
is why Wilson?
Well,
yeah, good question.
Aye, all right. Calm down, Buna. Just bouncing in. Do you know what? It was one of the ones that I looked at Newcastle's fixtures and the way that Wilson was performing, because as you can see there, just with a little kind of add-on, you can see point-wise how he's done. 16, 2, 5, 12, and then unfortunately 2 there. But I thought, no, he's actually not too bad. He's kind of in form as a striker. I'm alright putting him in there. But I did have, the little like troll alert. It was kind of flashing in my face as I made the move. But I still got his 12 points the week before and the 5 before that. So it's not like I've not benefited out of having him, and I didn't move him in just to get 2 points either, so I have had his points, if that makes sense.
And who did you bring him in for? Do you remember?
Can't actually remember off the top of my head, but he's not on my team anymore.
Because I suppose the only issue with Wilson I have is there's Bamford, and there's Watkins, and there's Che Adams.
Oh, you are.
Well, guess who we brought Wilson in for?
Was it Che Adams?
No, Bamford.
Yeah.
Was it Bamford? Oh.
Yeah. So I've taken out so far. So I've -8 so far, right?
Yeah.
So before the chat goes ballistic, it is what it is, and it was before Trent decided that he was getting injured as well. So I took out Wilson for Bamford, I took out Kane for Vardy, and I took out Son for Fernandes. That was.
So you're completely getting off Spurs.
Mate, I didn't even want Spurs in the first place. Do you know how much of a pain in my backside Spurs can actually be? Like, Son last season just seemed to troll me the way Wilson does. and Boona knows this, I was actually gut-wrenching that I had to put Kane and Son in my team. But I feel like I've got their points and I'm happy to just get off them.
Yeah.
Especially with their run of games.
The issue I have with Wilson, why I called it out, is just he plays for Newcastle. And as far as an attacking team goes, you have the option of Bamford at Leeds. Yep. They look like they're going to score goals in every game.
Yep.
You've got Che Adams at Southampton. They look like they're going to score. And you have Watkins at Aston Villa, who look like they can score in games. And then you have Newcastle. So don't get me wrong, I have definitely benefited from having Callum Wilson at times. He's a good striker. But just because he plays at Newcastle, I'm like, no, not. I've made so many mistakes bringing in Newcastle players thinking, oh, he looks like good value. And then I just watch him not do much and really disappoint. As far as Spurs go, like I'm very tempted to keep Kane just because his numbers are so good.
See, I had it in my head, right, that I was definitely getting off Spurs with the next kind of 3 games that are coming up. However, I suppose in reflection, I can agree with what you're saying with regards to Kane, but I was already knee deep in it, if that makes sense. I'll show you here exactly.
Because don't get me wrong, it's still possible I completely jump off Spurs because I still want someone from Man City for their run of fixtures.
Yes.
But...
Well, you say that, but see, like, so you're talking about going City after game week 10?
Yes.
Yeah, so like you, I'm kind of thinking the same, was thinking the same thing, but I've done something totally different this season. I decided pre-season that for the first 10 game weeks I was going to chase price rises. Just to try something different. So, wasn't bothered about rank, although that's more an end game to me. It's not a weekly basis to get myself in a pickle. This is where I want to finish and just set that as my target. Whatever will happen. But for the first 10 game weeks, let's just try something totally different and just chase price rises. So I think my pricing now is round about the 104 million mark. So I think I've done all right.
104?
Yeah.
Bloody hell, what are you doing? Saving up for a mortgage?
It did drop though once I took Son out because I had a bit of and Kane out because I did have a bit of money in it. But it's not far off. It's climbing again because the players that I got in were all rising in price. You see, so that's the kind of strategy, Jay, that I was trying this season, just for something different. Just for the first 10 game weeks, just try something completely different. This is the bunch of Llama Blankers that I've got going into the next game week, which would mean not taking any more hits, but obviously having Trent on the bench, which, I don't know. We'll wait and see, but I don't really want to take Trent out for Robertson. What's your views on that? Because you were saying earlier, we'll look at your team in a second, but you've still got Trent, haven't you?
Yep, for my sins, I still got Trent. So, the plan has always been to move him on, probably from game week 5. But like I said, there were other areas I needed to address. Sice suddenly stopped playing. Mitchell became an issue. So I had other areas that I was like, you know what, Trent is still going to play. So this injury's probably kind of helped because now it's like, okay, well, it looks like he's very unlikely to be playing. So now he becomes that like slight issue in the background. He's now probably one of the issues I have to address this game week coming up.
Okay.
So I think it's probably helped me because there's still other areas I was looking at going, you know what, I can keep Trent a little bit longer.
And have you wildcarded, sorry?
Yes, I've already wildcarded.
I thought you had. Yeah.
I was egotistical enough to think after 2 game weeks I knew exactly how the league was going to go. And I was wrong.
that thought process.
I thought I've seen enough. I know which players I want. And I was wrong. I didn't get To be fair, some of the players I brought in, like Grealish, I've been very happy with.
Yep.
Kane, happy with. So there's been some good moves, but there's also been some players I brought in, like Ollie Burke. I thought, he's the best 4.5 million midfielder. No, he's not. So, you know.
So this in front of us now, Jay, is Boona's bag of spanners, I'm going to call this. Boona had an alright game week, to be fair. I've seen some worse.
What are you talking about, mate? 44 points?
44, I've seen worse.
Points?
I've seen worse.
No, mate, this was dire. Eric Dyer, Bollicle.
Well, listen, tell Jay,
I was
tell
going to
the
say, how have
chat,
you seen worse?
tell Jay,
Yeah,
tell the chat
exactly.
what happened and what you've done about it, apart from sulk and put loads of inject emojis on Twitter.
Well, basically, moving on. Game week 10, anyone?
Right, so you
Game
just...
week 9?
So what, right, okay, so let's not dive too much into your team then, Boona, but what have you done already, or do you not want to...
Can you pull it up on Discord? I'll put a screenshot in there.
Oh, have you? Right, okay, nice one.
Yeah, bring it up. It'll help you visualize. In fact, let me send another screenshot. Bring the one that I've sent you of the new team,
Yep.
and I will send you a screenshot of my transfers so that we can visualize it a lot better.
Right, Jay, you ready to slag them off here? I don't know. Actually, it's not looking too bad from what I can see. What one are you?
Well, there's 2 eyesores in there still in the Wolves assets, but you can only get rid of so much shit without ruining your season.
It's hard to make out, I think, even on my screen.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll read
I
it.
can just about see it.
I've just put I've put the transfers in there now. So bring that up. It should upload any second now.
Okay.
And you'll be able to see what exactly's changed. So the players that I've taken out.
That's a lot better.
The
To
players
visualise
that
the
I've
moves.
brought in.
Right, let's have a look,
there
shall
we
we? So you have went Trent out, Digne in. That's your latest move. You started off... All right, okay. I think it might be easier. You started off at midnight on the 8th of November by taking out...
This is a story.
I couldn't sleep, alright? I couldn't sleep.
He couldn't sleep unless he made some moves.
He was like, nah, I've had enough of this team. I ain't sleeping until I've dealt with something. And then you went right in about it. So, Trossard to Rodriguez, Kane to Calvert-Lewin, Sterling to Fernandes, Maupay to Martial, interesting, and then Trent to Digne. So Martial's the only one for me that I'd be a bit iffy about. That's my only... Everything else looks alright, to be honest, but in my opinion.
There's two risks, in my opinion, worth getting rid of Sterling and Kane. In my defence, Sterling, I think he's looked shocking. I think he's been terrible. I'm not saying that's going to continue, because I know Aguero's back in training now as well. De Bruyne is looking good. I know that could change, but he's just not impressed me. And I don't think the stats are brilliant either. And he had Spurs next, and I really wanted Bruno Fernandes, who's looking really good. Albeit his performance tends to be a lot better away than home. West Brom aren't too good, so yeah, I'm pretty confident with the transfers. I've kept Son in, JNO. I just think he's the one that is likely to get some space against the likes of City. I don't think City are going to defend as deep as the teams we've been playing. For that reason, maybe Kane's not a bad option either, but I thought people were telling me that Kane's a central defensive midfielder, so I don't understand why people
See, the thing with Kane I have is everyone's going central defensive mid just because he's dropping a bit deeper. But he's often assisting now as well. So, even if he is dropping a bit deeper, it's often him that's getting the assist. He's just so involved in the play that he just seems safer than someone like Son that could potentially have a quiet game. He might get put out wide, he might get marked. I just feel like Kane at the moment is the one that will do something no matter who the opposition is.
You're right with what you're saying, however, I think with Kane, sometimes he's deeper than his defence.
He's not that deep. Why does everyone say this?
He's literally in the wrong 18-yard box.
That's people make it sound like he might as well be in the away stand with the fans, not even on the pitch. That's how far back he is.
Or are you in that sitting there going, what are you doing back here? Don't trust you, mate. I'll do.
Interestingly, all my transfers were made between 8 p.m. and 1 a.m.
Yeah, you had one of those. Yeah, you had one of those nights.
Now, the last time I bought in 3 Everton players in a single game week, was game week 2, in which I took a -8, and that was the best game week I had all season. And those 3 Everton players wielded 25 points alone. That was James, Richarlison, and Digne.
Okay,
not Calvert-Lewin. Interested to see how it goes again.
Yeah,
I'm interested that you've not gone for Chilwell
or Grealish.
Or
because a lot of people were like, why didn't you go Grealish over Rodriguez?
I know why you haven't gone Cancelo, because everyone's waiting until after game week 9 for that move. But why Digne over the likes of Chilwell?
just for in the interest of being different. Chilwell's ownership's gone up so much, and I really need to make some space up.
You seem like a manager that likes to be different.
I like to be different, not just for the sake of being different, though. Like, I kind of measure up the fixtures a little bit as well. And I'm not saying Leeds won't score against Everton, but Chilwell has Spurs in the following game week, not game week 9 and game week 10. So I'm playing it in kind of like a 2-game week sort of period. Chelsea could keep a clean sheet. He could get attacking points, but I just prefer the differential in Digne. I could have gone PVA as well. I think PVA is a good shout.
I think the only thing that put me off Digne is the fact that, yes, he'll get you an assist, but he could also get you a yellow or a red card quite easy.
Yeah,
that's just the type of player he is.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of drawbacks with Digne. Like, I can't remember who it was telling me how he perceived it. Chilwell's got Mendy behind him. Digne's got Pickford. So that's obviously a big drawback. I guess it's a case of high risk, high reward.
Aye, that's it. And I mean, I think like what we were talking about earlier, Buna, and obviously yourself, Jay, is that for me, and I know like for yourselves and that as we were talking about it, as long as you're playing the game how you want to play it and you're enjoying it, what really matters? You know? And it's
the good thing about having a differential is if it does pay off, that is one of the sweetest feelings ever.
Yeah.
Because they have such a massive effect on your rank compared to, say, all the players everyone's bringing in.
Yeah,
so if it pays off, Boone will be on the next stream going, check me out, instead of going, let's move on from my team.
Oh, no, he definitely will. He's all over that.
We'll be seeing those emojis on Twitter.
Yeah. It's like...
If you bring bring the actual, sorry, whilst we're carrying on talking, bring the actual team up now, Lama, if that's all right, just so we can see it all together and get JNO's thoughts, including captaincy, but carry on.
Yeah, aye, so that's it there, and that's how it's kind of shaping up, isn't it, for the next game week. It's true what Paulie said. I mean, look at the way you play. Well, the way you play the game, Buna. Last season, as an example, similar to me, you took about 100 points worth of hits, and you still had a decent season, or you still finished quite high up. It's horses for courses. You know, it's like what you were saying, Jay. If you can back your moves, and you're comfortable with what you're doing, then go for it. That's what makes it. That's what makes the game it is.
Well, yeah, a lot of the players you transferred there, I imagine the player you brought in over the next 6 game weeks is going to outscore who you transferred out by more than 4 points.
I would hope so, yeah. And all 5 players that I've bought in this week play West Brom and Fulham. And then the following week they play Leeds and Southampton. So I think I'm always been a kind of fixtures kind of guy anyway, JNO, but I'm hoping that comes to fruition. We'll see. At the moment, I'm on Martial captain. That's genuine. Fernandes doesn't have the best of home records. Not saying he won't, score a brace or get 5 penalties against West Brom. It's very realistic. The other option going safe is Salah. It really comes down to what sort of FPL manager you are, really, doesn't it? I'm really interested. What's your thoughts on Liverpool at the moment with their defensive frailties and stuff? How do you think they're going to play? I put a status out about this today. A tweet saying how is their defensive injuries going to affect their style of play? Are they going to go hell for leather and try and just be like, we're going to outscore the opponent, or they're going to try and sort things out? What's your thoughts?
Interesting, yeah.
See, the issue I have is without Trent, a lot of their attack last season was based off of their wing-backs. I think if you had the likes of Thiago coming in, I don't know what his injury status is right now, he is the type of player that could maybe add a bit of creativity to the midfield. But their midfield is pretty much more of like workhorse midfielders. However, the addition of Jota, if they're going to continue playing those 4 up top, I think they are going to try and score goals. If we think back, there was a season, of course, when Liverpool's record defensively wasn't that great, but the likes of Salah and Mane were just scoring for fun. So it didn't matter so much.
I think it was 2017-18. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Could revert back to that. So I'm by no means getting off Salah anytime soon. Just because I think,
no chance.
Like, if you look at the stats, and it goes with the games as well, watching the eye test, the likes of Kane, Bamford, and Salah are just getting so many more chances than everyone else that it's like, as long as they're half decent, they're going to be putting some of these chances away. So I can't be getting off Salah just because some defensive injuries. Now, their defence, I'm definitely looking to kind of ignore them until I think, okay, I've now seen some form from them again.
Yeah. I mean, Davey's asking in the chat there, who was the right back before Trent when Salah first came to Liverpool and scored over 300 FPL points? You make a valid point, Davey. You make a valid point. Two more. Oscar, good evening to you. Welcome to the chat. Jay's got a screaming match going on in the background.
It had to happen eventually. I knew it was going to happen eventually. This is why I usually stream later, because there's more of a chance that they're asleep, or at least one of them's asleep.
No, that is fine. So we now have your team in front of us. For the benefit of those listening back, you have got a 3-4-3 formation. Martinez in goal, who got you 6 points. Creswell with 6. Trent with his 2 points, and Lamptey with 6. Your 4 in midfield are Son, who was your vice, on 3. Salah on 9. Podence on 1. Grealish on 6. You then captained Kane, who got you your 18 points. Calvert-Lewin with 5, and Werner there with 7 points. As you say, 69, I think it was? Yeah, 60,
Yep.
69.
I'm glad I've got someone that can share the frustration of owning Podence.
Well,
Please give me your thoughts
I shall
on
let
that
you
at some
two have a
stage.
chat about that. Have a wee blether.
So-
Get it out in the air.
He looked like the best £5.5 million option.
Every
Didn't
single game, he looks like the best Wolves player. Every single game he gets taken off, the first player to be taken off. What's
Yeah.
going on?
What really annoys me is it seems like just as he's hitting his stride, and just as he's about to actually potentially get some points, he gets substituted off. Wolves seem to
Every
start
time.
quite slowly, and I'm like, great, this doesn't look like anything's going to happen. And then opponent starts to pick up, get some shots on goal, and then it's like, okay, time for you to come off. I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Do you not want to win? Like, so yeah, opponents has been an absolute nightmare, and I thought potentially it had turned the corner when he managed to get that 8 points against Villa, but
Nikolai in the chat, good evening to you, Nikolai. Hope you're doing well. Podence is a trap, he says. Well, I've never owned him, so wouldn't know, to be honest.
you're lucky.
Never went there. I would go for the guy that, what's his face, Traore, that now puts the oil on himself so no one can grab him. But
Yeah,
everyone...
but he doesn't seem to be starting.
Nah,
it's
it's weird, eh?
Neto seems to be the one that seems the most secure.
Neto
But I don't
scored
want
for
him.
Portugal yesterday.
Yeah, didn't they win 7-0?
So where are you? So your team, obviously, in my opinion, I don't know about yourself, Boona, certainly looks good enough. If you're looking at potential fires, but it depends how you want to go about it. Taylor sitting there with 8 points on your bench is a nice.
You're looking to keep both Spurs assets, and I know
That's
we
what I
were
was
talking
just
about
about to
Harry
ask,
Kane.
yeah.
earlier.
It won't be
Where
both.
are you sitting?
I will not be having both.
Right.
Because just there's better fixtures out there, and while I do think there's the potential for Spurs to do well against the tough opposition, because Mourinho every now and again does like a tough game, I just think it's not worthwhile like doubling down on Spurs with that much cash. If there was, say, a £7 million Spurs midfielder who was playing well, then I might go, okay, I don't mind the double up too much, but that much cash in Kane and Son for the up and coming fixtures, I think just isn't wise. So if I didn't have the other issues, it would be definitely the move I'd make now. But I'm not happy with Podence. I've now got the Trent issue as well.
Yeah.
And my bench, apart from Taylor, the other two options need sorting out at some point. So there's every chance I might stick with 2 Spurs for the next fixture just because I think I need to do something elsewhere.
I don't think it's the craziest decision this week. I don't know how do you let history? Does history come into your mind when you're making transfer decisions?
No, not really. Purely,
No?
if a player has a very good goal scoring record against a team, that history might.
Yeah,
like,
so
edge
Son
me
has
in a
4
certain
and
way.
4 against in the last 4 against City.
The thing is, I think it's always a bit of they're always that record's going to stop at some point. All these records out there, they have to end at some point. And I always think, okay, do I actually think Spurs will do well against City? Now, the way this season's going, I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a walkover for City when some seasons would have been like, City should take this easy. There's not much threat from Spurs here. But Spurs have a very good front three if they're playing Bale as well. And to be honest, Højbjerg's come in, Reguilon's come in. They've improved the team massively. So
it's a bit of Sorry, Jay. No, sorry, Jay.
I was just going to say, if there's any season where I would back Spurs to get something from this game, it would be this one.
See, do you not like normally I would agree with that until I done that watch along with Buna the other week there, and it was an absolute dire.
Yeah, but you got to take the opposition into question as well. And the two watch alongs that we've done. Yeah, no, but we're talking about the style. No, but we're talking about the style of play, Llama.
Yeah.
They had 9 people behind the ball. Burnley did the same. City aren't going to do that necessarily.
So the way I look at fixtures is because everyone looks at fixtures usually, and they just go, if they're looking at it on the FPL website, green, love it. Red, don't love it. Or any other, it's like if it's a good fixture, great. But I actually look at it more as in how is that team going to play against the opposition.
Yes.
So, for instance, say that Southampton Spurs game. Southampton like to have a high line. Son has pace. Kane obviously had the ability to find the through balls. Son went absolutely mad. And Man United, not the greatest defence. Yes, Tottenham, Man United, fixture-wise, you'd think, oh, that's 2 of the top 6. But Man United's defence at the time was pretty poor. So I actually like to look a bit more into detail of the opposition than just, that's a green fixture, that's a red fixture. So I think Spurs could definitely get something from City because City, I think, really want to right now start getting back to the norm where they're like winning games more comfortably. I think all of those players and Pep are going to want to start dominating games, like you say, and they're not at the moment. So I think that's getting to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Vince is saying in the chat, Jay. With regards to Spurs, the next 3 fixtures for Jose are against all of his nemesis. That's such a word. He's got Pep, then young Frank, Chelsea and Arsenal, and Jose will want to win a lot of them. So, yeah, as Buna was saying to you, I think keeping a hold of the 2 of them, I had mentioned it earlier, I may have knee-jerked the Kane move, but I just felt that I could spread the funds a little bit better. But that's just my opinion, obviously. As you're saying there, I think I'm right in saying you've still got 2 free transfers, I believe.
Yes.
But are you looking at more your Podence and Trent situation as opposed to the Son and Kane kind of element?
The issue with Podence and Trent is just... Well, with Trent, I can definitely get some value, some cash.
Yes.
With a downgrade that I can then use elsewhere. The issue with Podence is, who do I transfer him to? Do I use that cash that I get from downgrading Trent, or do I look for another £5.5 million midfielder?
Have you got 1 free transfer or 2?
2. So there's a possibility I take a -4, so I have 3 transfers.
Well, yeah, Son would then give you a lot of cash. Son and Trent would give you a good cash to, build up a strong midfield there. Where's your head at the moment in terms of incoming players? Have you thought of anyone?
Well, the Trent replacement is likely to be Chilwell. There's the possibility of going someone cheaper in Chelsea's defence if it facilitates a better move elsewhere. And then Podence will probably stay just because it's Southampton. And I'm
worried he's going to get benched,
He could get benched, to be fair. But I just think now is the time that I should be getting off of double Spurs.
Yeah.
So
I would agree.
I don't have any Man U coverage for a West Brom game. And while West Brom are likely to try and defend, they're also the team that have shipped in a lot of goals beforehand. I think potentially a lot of the sides that come up to the Premier League think we can still play the way we did in the Championship. And then most sides soon get shown, no, you can't. And then they get a bit more defensively solid. So there's the potential that these games are going to be harder to score in than they were. But I still think that's the best captaincy game this game week is Man United versus West Brom. And if I don't have an option there, I'm going to be looking at fixtures that I'm not too confident with as far as captains go.
Yeah, I mean, as you say there, I've stuck my armband on Fernandes as an example. That's where the armband's going with that regard. And then also Vardy as well, as you mentioned earlier there, Buna, about the status, unfortunately, for Liverpool in their defence just now. Is that a green?
He's having a party.
Is that a green light now? Yeah.
It's not just a green light. It should be a green colour on the FDR.
What? Just total change it? Actually, that reminds me. That was a question that someone DM'd me this for JNO this week, and you've just reminded me of it now. If JNO was the boss of FPL and FPL Towers, would he change anything to do with FPL? And if he would change something, what would it be and why?
Okay, this is probably going to be controversial,
Oh,
but I would get rid of the captaincy.
oh, interesting. Right, okay. What? Just nothing, and like week
Yeah.
on week, just no captaincy.
Just week on week, players get the points, or maybe if you wanted to keep it in some aspect, just because of the history of it, you could have it as a chip. One game week, you get to double someone's points. Or
Aye, so like the triple captaincy chip.
I'm not saying you have to do that, but yeah, just maybe keep the triple captaincy chip, and then one game week you can triple captain someone.
Yeah, that.
But
I
no
like
actual
that.
captain every single game week, because it's
I like that.
it's a luck thing, isn't it? If you get it
Yes.
right, it's absolutely brilliant captaincy. If you get it wrong and other people get it right, you just drop in rank. Even if the rest of your players do pretty decent, if you haven't got the captaincy call right, and say Aguero has one of those game weeks where he scores 5 goals, if you didn't have Aguero with the captaincy armband, you dropped in rank, no matter what the rest of your players have done.
Yeah.
So I think it's an element of luck that we don't necessarily need in the game. Because
Do you know what? Yeah.
Because
I
what
like
I've
that.
done this season is I've focused so much more on trying to get the captaincy right. Because before I used to just be like, okay, look at every single aspect of my team, try and make the right decisions everywhere. Now I'm just like, well, look, if I get my captaincy right, the rest of my team could do pretty much nothing apart from 1 or 2, and I'll probably still have a good game week.
Yeah, no.
So that would be my change.
I actually really like that, Bruno. What about you?
Yeah, I'd totally back that, mate. Takes the luck question out of the equation and gives people less reasons to make excuses.
Yeah, I think, like, I don't know what the chat think of that, right enough. But, you know, but as I say, I think still having the triple captain chip as a chip, but week on week, there is just no captaincy at all.
Here's a point from Vince. Without the captain, though, you won't be able to move up ranks as much when all the top 10k are template.
What I would say to counteract that is without that chip, that forces people to look for other ways to get points that people aren't getting. So you'd have managers trying to find the differentials more. So what you often get is there's a template for the top 10k, and those people have got in the top 10k, and then they don't want to fall out in the top 10k. They're like, okay, I want to keep this rank to the end of the season. So the way I look at it is, if you didn't have that captaincy chip, those players would have to be more reactive to any bandwagons that happen, because if that bandwagon actually works and they don't have that player, they could drop out the top 10k.
Yeah, no, I agree. And also what I would say to that, Vince, is they probably wouldn't be such an embedded top 10k if there weren't if the captaincy chip wasn't there, because everyone would be probably a little bit closer, would you say?
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Yeah.
No, interesting. No, I like that. That's I've never actually thought of that, but now that you mention it, I think I could get behind that. Colio Foots, I think, totally agrees, although he misspelt what he was trying to say, Jay. But I think he totally agrees with what you're saying. Let's have a look ahead, Bruno, shall we? Do you know, I've enjoyed this conversation that much that I didn't even realise what time it was, and the time has totally flown by. Is there any games?
I wouldn't go through each individual game this time,
exactly.
because we've still got a lot of things that could happen between now and next week.
Exactly. I'm not. Is there any though that you would want to pick out between the two?
What we should probably talk about is like standout captaincy games.
All right, let's have a look, shall we? And Jay will be having a wee quick squiz then out as well.
I think the team.
But the obvious one is Man U West Brom, of course.
Yeah. Yep.
So I don't think we really need to discuss that. I mean, you've both kind of discussed it with your Martial and Bruno Fernandes moves.
Yes.
Salah's got to be in the running, and I think Everton players, Calvert-Lewin, won't be in the equation as much, but he's a great standout choice. Do you not think?
Yeah, there's always the chance that Fulham collapse, and Digne's back, Rodriguez is back. Is Richarlison back now?
Not sure.
Yeah, he was suspended. He's back.
Yeah.
I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin has been hurt by not having Richarlison there, because teams can just focus more on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and they don't have to worry about that attack down the left where Rodriguez just picks out Richarlison making a run down the left channel. So I think that's definitely hurt the side as a whole. And Digne being back with that delivery, I think there's definitely a shout for Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
What about Chelsea? What about
See,
is
Yeah,
Werner
you've
an
got
option?
Werner still. Yeah.
It's if the issue is they're going to be defensive, even though they're at home, Newcastle. But I do think Chelsea have definitely improved with Hakim Ziyech coming in.
Yeah.
I think that's made a big difference to their attacking output.
Yep.
And so I do like the fact that even though Timo Werner's moved out to the left, I think with Hakim Ziyech's delivery, that could actually be a benefit for him. He's now got a second striker there that the defenders have to think about. And if Hakim Ziyech is going to be finding Timo Werner, that's perfect for me. So I probably wouldn't captain in this game. Although I know you look at Newcastle and you think, yes, captaincy choice. But I'm not sure I've got that confidence in Chelsea just yet, even though they have looked so much better the last 2 games with Hakim Ziyech.
We've got a lot of Grealish loving in the chat. Thoughts on? Would you go there?
As a captain, probably not, just because they've not shown me enough consistency. Because everyone was high on them, of course, and then they had that game against Leeds. And I think that was literally at the height of everyone going, do we need 3 Aston Villa players in our side? And then Leeds went and smashed them. They're definitely capable of scoring goals. We saw that at Southampton. Again, lots of people were like, oh, why have I got so many Aston Villa players? And then they came back and scored 3 goals. So I probably wouldn't captain a Villa player yet. They've not done enough for me to go there. I mean, as far as fixtures, Liverpool-Leicester, I think, could have a lot of goals.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say about Vardy. Well, I know you spoke about Salah, but Vardy possibly?
Vardy as well, yeah. I'd definitely consider Vardy or Salah if I wasn't going to have a Man United option in, which might be the case for me.
I just had a question on Twitter 16 seconds ago. If you're having a bad run in FPL, how do you plan on recovering from it? A bit broad, but...
So I was having a bad run last season, and I was putting more and more pressure on myself to try and sort it out. And it was kind of making me make moves that I normally wouldn't make and playing a different way because I was just so desperate to fix the issue. And what I just started to do is said, you know what, season's not started off great. Let's just start having some fun, which kind of freed me up to make moves that I would have naturally made if I was doing better in the game. And that allowed me to suddenly start rising in rank. Then you get that positive momentum, and I started to do better. The rank kept rising, and I went from about 2.5k to around 200k. And then, of course, what I did is I put more pressure on myself because I was like, okay, I've got this far. Let's see how close to the top 10k I can get. Started making the stupid moves again because I was putting the pressure on myself again. So don't make moves purely because of pressure because you're having a bad start. Just... It's so, especially now, it's such a long race till game week 38 that you've got time to make changes.
Yeah.
So don't rush into moves and don't put that pressure on yourself. You're literally 3 or 4 good game weeks away from having a really good rank.
Totally true. Totally true. That's it. I mean, at one stage last season, I was well out the million as we were closing out. And then just went on a 6-7 game week run of green arrows. So it can be done, and that's the thing, is not to try and get yourself wrapped up tight about it.
I'd also say a big thing, just quickly, is don't look at other players scoring and think, oh, I had that player. Or because what people do is they transfer someone out, and then for 4 game weeks, they watch that player and go, oh, I had him, and he's gone and scored this, he's gone and scored that. Despite the fact that the player they brought in is still scoring, and you're just focusing on the negative. If your players are still scoring, so for instance, there's a lot of players that I could have had, Bamford being one that I did consider on a wild card, that if I'd had him, yes, it would have been great. But all of my strikers have been scoring. It's not like Kane, Werner, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin have been quiet.
No.
They've been decent choices. So instead of focusing on the fact that, oh, I don't have him, just look at your side. They're scoring points. Don't make any drastic moves. Don't focus on the negative.
Yep. No, I can't. Yep, lots of great advice coming from Jay this evening, which is greatly appreciated. A couple of last kind of questions here, Bruno. I think if we go through these and then we can wrap things up, I suppose, yeah?
Yep, brilliant.
And Lovoo is saying, and I'll pronounce these, Jay, all wrong, by the way. I'll just stutter about here with names sometimes. There would be more ghost teams I think so. This is him talking about removing the captaincy chip. Captain choices make active players more productive and profitable, is his opinion. I don't know if there's anything, Jay, from yourself to add back to that one.
True, but that's as long as you're getting the calls right.
Yes.
If you're not getting the calls right, then you can be as active as you like, and you're getting the calls wrong. So it does rely on if you're active and making the right calls. And of course, it is still luck.
True. Very, very true. And then Yash, I think, Buna, we'll just go with Yash as the last kind of couple of questions, eh?
Hell yeah.
Go for it. I'll let you go read out Yash's.
Yash saying, hey lads, thoughts on Martial captain? He's surely going under the radar this season for obvious reasons. Let's just put that out there. But a massive differential captain this week to jump up the ranks. And I completely agree, Yash. Although Yash is at 400k in the world as opposed to my 1.5 or 1.8 million, whatever it is after my minus 16 is added into things. It's a risk to take at your rank, Yash. I'm not sure I'd necessarily advise it. Martial is probably a great differential at this stage in his own, like, without the captaincy, especially that high in the rankings. So I'd probably urge you to be cautious. But it's not the worst decision. Martial likes playing at home. Bruno prefers playing away. Martial, some would say he's due, but he's not had any shots on target this season, so it's probably not going to be the right thing to say. But I think he's a good choice. I don't know what you lot think.
I think the other thing, though, is what he's commented straight after it, though. Just for context, I'm 400k at the moment, and that currently got his armband on DCL. What are you thinking, Jay?
I mean, I don't mind the DCL shout, like we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
I think my issue with Man United is just they seem so unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like, games they should be winning, they don't. Games they should be struggling in, suddenly they look really good. As soon as the pressure's on Solskjaer a bit, they pull out a performance against Everton. And Martial, I'm not going to lie, is so infuriating a player to watch if he's not on form. When he's on form, it's fantastic. You feel like, okay, he could score 3 or 4 in this. But when I did own him this season, I was watching him thinking, is he even trying?
Have you owned him this season?
Yes, I owned him in game week 2 and 3, I believe.
The thing with Martial...
3 is the game that he got... So you had him when he got red carded?
I think I might have transferred him out just before... No, I think I had him actually for the red card.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a supporter, Martial's a really frustrating player. He just has a look on his face like he's forgot to do something. And as mentioned in the chat here, who's actually going to pass the ball to Martial? I was contemplating doing a cheeky punt to Rashford, but then I think the better move was Fernandes. So I'm kind of happy with what I've done with regards to that. Yeah, no, Yash is just saying there. Yeah, I do agree with you, Yash. As a United fan, it's more infuriating watching a world-class talent remain just average because he's just not consistent. Yep, that is so.
It's got the run of fixtures to turn things around.
Exactly, this is true. Nuclear, Bernard, did Nuclear post?
That's the guy that I said commented 16 seconds ago. Nuclear, we did go through that question regarding if you're having a bad run in FPL, how do you plan on recovering from it?
So yeah, that's fine. So
if you rewind the stream about 10-15 minutes, you'll hear it.
You'll be able to get it. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that joined us in the chat this evening. It's greatly appreciated. Every Thursday is where the Llama Lounge invites a guest from the FPL world to come and join us and just chill out and talk FPL, as well as getting to know each other a little bit better. Couldn't have had a better guest this evening in JNO. Much appreciated having him here, and you'll hear from him just in a little second. If you are new though, and you're wondering what the Llama Lounge is all about, it's basically just a little place where we all get together in our Discord, which is on the right hand side there, which is all free to join. Come in, have a blather. You can come on air with us if you so do wish. It's greatly appreciated. If you've enjoyed the content this evening, it's not just going to stop here. I'm back in about an hour alongside Davey. I think Boona's coming back in, and I think another few gents are also joining us as we do a little live watch along to see if Scotland will actually make it to the Euros, which obviously we hope they do. Scotland being Scotland, I know we'll just end up drinking and just drowning our sorrows. However, we will be here to take in the 90 minutes or so and see what actually happens. If you've not already subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button. It's much appreciated. Oh, there you go. There's Nuclear subscribe. Thank you very much for that, pal. Jay, over to yourself. We're going to kind of end the stream down. Boona's going to say cheerio to everybody. Yash, thank you very much for the subscription there. Jay, let everyone know where to find you so that they can come over and join your content.
Instead of doing that, just anyone that is in the chat that hasn't subscribed, hit subscribe. That's all I need you to do.
There you go. Nice and easy. Jay, honestly, it's been an absolute privilege. It's just flew in. We normally go for about an hour, and we're nearly at an hour and a half already. Apologise to the wife and the kids, because we're probably...
She hasn't gone, when do I start your dinner?
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, the little one's just come and said, Daddy, look at this. And I'm like, okay, I'll look at it in a second.
So, no, I just want to say thank you very much for joining us this evening. Sorry Matt couldn't join us, but it's been greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for that. Boona, I will let you wrap things up and we'll go to the end screen.
Yeah, brilliant. I'll just keep it short and sweet. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. JNO, really, really appreciate you coming on, buddy. It's been a really enjoyable stream. Some really interesting insight. Not that I didn't think you were going to provide that, but genuinely has been. The only ask I'll have from you guys is, if you've enjoyed the stream, hit that like button. Drop a comment after the video uploads and let us know what you thought of the stream. And if there was anything else more that you wanted to see us talk about or discuss, we'll take that on board. Otherwise, enjoy your week, and we will catch you in about an hour and 10 minutes, Lana?
Yeah, something like that. 7:45 kickoff. And as Oscar asks, yes, if Scotland win, they are indeed in the Euros.
And Lama's getting married. Right.
That's true.
Catch you in an hour, guys.
Take care, folks. Catch you soon. Thanks again, Jay.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Better sounds no one's ever heard. I wish I had a better voice to sing some better words. I wish I found some chords in an order that was new. I wish I didn't have to rhyme every time I